Myke Wright, thank you for being here. You're number 20, I think, on my guess. And you were in the top 5 when in that first 5. So
I'm in the top
thank
1,
you for
baby.
coming back. And in the top 1, yeah, of course. Welcome back, though.
Well, thank
How
you,
does
and
it
you're
feel
welcome.
to be back? It's a different environment now.
It is. This one, I prefer this one. It's got a view of all the people doing things and stuff. So I like this. This is much better.
Well, when I had hit you up, I was like, I need to have a return.
Oh yeah.
Of Myke.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I knew it was gonna be like that. It's always like that.
What has happened since the last time we talked? What's Myke been? What's your orbit, to use your phrase?
Oh right. Well, the creative expression is at an all-time high as usual.
Okay.
So whether it's painting or music or product design, business design, everything is just ramped up to the highest level. This is the greatest living Myke Wright there has ever been right now. Yeah. I've never, my confidence hasn't been higher. Like I said before, I thought it was high before. You thought it was high before. It's higher, Sam. Look how high up we are. You're trying to match my confidence level by having us up here like that. And you coming kind of close. But for real.
Really? So this is the highest level you've been as far as the execution of your work and the fruits of your labor, so to speak?
Yeah, I really wouldn't even consider it labor, because a lot of these things come natural to me. And I think that once I tapped into not trying so hard and to do what comes natural to me, that's when you can really figure out what your true purpose and passion is in life, and not trying to force things. A lot of people are forcing a lot of stuff right now. And that's why I feel like there's a lot of people saying they've got anxiety or depression and all this other thing. It's like everybody's like trying to self-diagnose themselves with something, because you're fucking up by not being you.
You can't curse on this podcast.
Oh, really? Well, shit. Sam. But they're fucking up.
No, it's tough. I have a friend of mine that's a stand-up, and he's got this intensity about it that's different from when I first met him. And he's like, you got to do this, grind. And like, I'm hungry. We got to get out and do this. And we went to a show together because he wants to do the show. And he was like, you got to check out this spot. It's fucking cool. And we went, and just his energy around like the bookers and the guys that meet him, you know, to like kind of get in with him. You can just tell how bad he wants it. And it has an energy that is off-putting in a way, you know, like he just wants it so badly. To do other stuff, but this particular example is that show, and I don't know how to tell it to him. Like, you're just walking around with this unpleasant energy, and yes, be focused and determined, and you know, it's his sort of, that's how his mind operates, with like, this is what you got to do, go after it, and nothing gets in the way. But it's somehow not helping.
It sounds like the hairline difference between power and force. So you want to have power. You want to walk around and feel empowered. And people can recognize when you feel empowered. They say, well, this seems like somebody who we can trust to get something done. But the person who's running around trying to force it, there's something about force that innately lets people know that you're trying to hide an insecurity.
Yeah.
And they can pick up on that.
Well, it's just the need. Like, people sense that. And I mean, he's a really good friend of mine, and I think he's a talented comedian. But there's something that he needs to do, like you said, where it's like, it's not work, it's what you do. And it's not being forced. So, I mean, is that what you're seeing a common experience with just people around you?
Yeah, I've used, stand-up comedy is, we're observant people. We make observations, and sometimes they're humorous or whatever the fuck, right? But I've tapped into a way to use that to just observe human activity. And I see a lot of similarities between what a lot of people are like generally uncomfortable, it seems like. And I think it's coming from everyone trying to become things that they see everyone else doing, instead of like, what do you think what would be natural to you? And I think a lot of people are fighting that. And that's where the force is coming from.
Yeah, I think there's might be two pieces to that. They're fighting what you said, what everyone else is doing, and then they're also fighting the doubt and the self-criticism of, oh man, maybe this won't happen. Maybe I'm not good enough. And there's this weird area where you have to sort of plan and have a strategy, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. When stuff lines up, it just lines up. But I have tons of people that I collaborate with, and different projects are sometimes easier to finish than others, where you got like everyone has ideas. Everyone has a new idea that they get excited about. And I got to the point where I was tired of hearing people go, oh, I got this new idea. Let's shoot this thing. And I'm like, come with me, like with some dates and a script and the location, and I'll get excited, but just having this idea, it means nothing. It means nothing. It could be the greatest idea in the world. You got actors, you got something.
Yeah.
And I think because myself and running into this pattern, because as a stand-up and you write a bunch, you're constantly coming in with stuff. And to actually pick like what's the one thing, like if someone walked in here and they go, Sam J, you can't leave this room. Your whole family is held. This is an extreme hypothetical.
Yeah, okay.
Your whole family is held hostage. You can't leave here until you pick one thing that you're going to do for the like rest of the year, and you can't do anything else. You can't like only one activity. We're going to monitor you and make sure you wake up and you just like edit or you just write scripts.
Right.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I kudos to the people that can like have that one thing, but
I don't think that's a natural thing either.
The one piece,
the one thing, because I think that the way jobs are kind of set up is you have to be the one thing. And we've kind of created like a monolithic kind of mindset to where if somebody is good at making cakes, then I don't want to hear anything else from you unless it's cake related. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that person might have more facets to them than just cake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that our generation, we're coming into like a Renaissance kind of era where we're doing a lot of different things. It's not the same anymore. So like if you're an actor, you're writing the scripts, you're filming it yourself, you're editing it yourself. You know what I mean? Trying to cut the difference between editing and filming, that's damn near the same thing. It's not like, oh, I like editing film and brain surgery. Those are two, that's kind of different from each other.
They go into each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you briefly mentioned it, but what's new that excites you right now? It can be either your own work or another person's work.
I'm excited about the change of power in the world, that a lot of people seem to be ready for just a new, it's hard to put it in words, but we're looking for something new. Like, we need new Hollywood. We need new films. We don't want reboots of same TV shows. I was driving over here. It's Fuller House. Like, what the fuck? Like, Who asked for that? Nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
no, I agree. It's all real.
and not just with that. I think with just like the way the world is in general, like we're going to inherit this world from the people who are the older people, from the older generations. So I'm excited about where we can take the new world, like on a large scale, not just like with making entertainment and things like that, but just like, what are we going to do when we have the keys to everything?
Yeah. And I mean, just the example of where stuff has gone. You look at technology. I was talking to my boss today about like the new iPhone. Mm-hmm. And like, which iPhone do you have? And he's like, oh, I have the newest one, the 10. And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, there's already an 11, and they're like, does it just keep on going?
Right.
Like, it's like the Super Bowl, like they just put another number on the next one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when do we stop getting excited about it? Mm-hmm. Like pretty soon it's going to be a phone with like a DSLR lens on it. You know what I mean? They're like, look at this lens. Like when does it stop?
Yeah. It stops when we come up with the next thing. It's not going to come from Apple. You know what I mean? Like they've come out with a lot of innovations, and that's dope. You know, kudos to them. They've helped us be where we are now. But we can't rely on the same magic forever. You know what I mean? So it's like they're going to just they're going to keep coming out with iPhones as long as people keep buying them. And people keep buying them because there's nothing else. Show us something better.
Yeah.
So until we put our creative brains onto like, okay, well, what would the next thing be? What am I looking for? Why am I bored with an iPhone 11? The fact that you're bored with that shows that something inside of you knows that this ain't it.
Yeah.
So put the time in, you know what I mean? Really look at it and be like, what is the next thing? You know, that's what they did. They made the next thing. You know what I mean? They weren't afraid to break the status quo. And that's really what it is. That's what I'm excited about. Is just, I feel like we're the group of people right in that Goldilocks zone that we're going to break a lot of this stuff and come up with a lot of new things and push things forward.
Break it and change it. Yeah. It's, I think a lot of people sort of, instead of like looking at how to break it, they look at maybe how the past has already been changed. So, you know, like the viewpoint of, oh man, kids these days, you know, don't understand this.
Yeah.
You're not evolving your status quo. You sort of get more conservative maybe as you get older in your type of thinking. And then everything behind you is viewed as a threat or an unknown. So this is the time, I agree with you, to see because not everything is bad from the past. There's good stuff in there. So what can we, you know, still use in our thought process and in how we interact? I mean, how we treat each other definitely needs to change. I drive around LA and I like just this it's been a while, but I've noticed the levels of homelessness and people on the street. And it's like, it's maybe because I work in Hollywood now, but it's much, much worse. And I'm just driving around and every day I'm like, God, someone needs to do something about this. What can be done? And I'm like, all right, do I like do an event, a charity event? Okay. Who do I give it to? All right. But where does that money go? Okay. Does it solve a problem, or is it just a temporary thing?
That's a great question. I ask myself that often. Does throwing money at things really fix it? You know what I mean? Like cancer, you know, they raise a lot of money. They're constantly raising money. Someone came to my house the other day and rang on my doorbell and, you know, answered the door, and she was like, hey, I'm raising awareness for cancer. And I was like, oh, I'm aware. You know what I mean? Like I know about it. Everybody knows about it. So why am I giving money to raise awareness to it? Or are we trying to fix it? Does it cost money to sit down and figure out a cure? Does that cost money?
Yeah.
Or does that just take time? You know what I mean? And I know people want to be compensated for time, but that's a structure in itself. Some things just need to be done because they need to be done. Like fixing the fact that people don't have places to live. I don't think anybody should be paid for that. We should just do it because people need to be able to live. Everybody has the right.
Do we view this as important? Is it important to us as a society? And there's so much, I mean, it's crazy. Like you're driving around and you're seeing like full on patios built outside of tents. And like the other day I saw like potted plants and like that should look better than my patio, you know? And it's on Alvarado by the 101. Yeah. And you're just like, damn, this is like a legitimate like camp, you know? This is like a, I mean,
they get
someone could Airbnb this shit.
Yeah, they got very resourceful. I've seen some interesting, creative things too. And you know what? The answer to homelessness may come from a homeless person.
Yeah.
Maybe some people might need to ask them if they have any ideas on a sustainable living condition or some type of, you know, portable house or something like that can be built, you know, or maybe they've created a rudimentary version of something that's like, well, I think this could work if we kind of find a way to mass produce some of these or something like that.
3D printed pods.
Exactly. But, you know, I think the first step is communication.
Well, there's so
talking
much
to
of
them.
there's so much of a stigma and assumptions based on it.
That is something you can catch. If you talk to them, then you'll be, it's contagious or
I
something.
mean, it's like our idea of homelessness are like hobos or something still. Like these guys got Bluetooth speakers and iPhones.
Yeah.
They're on Facebook.
Yeah, they're asking for money with a square on their on their iPhone 11.
Like they're caught up.
Yeah, they
You know
are.
what I mean? They know what's on Netflix. They're a part of culture. They just don't have a home
And how many people are one paycheck away from being that?
from being that. Yeah.
So it's closer than a lot of people think. A lot closer than they want to think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a fear. I mean, it's like, yeah, are they going to catch it?
You know what I mean? So fear, and I'm glad you said that. Fear is a huge motivating force in the world, and I've come to realize that within the last 3 years, even curing my own fears, personal fears that I had, writing them all out, and then every day I try to, if I can figure out if there's something I'm afraid of, what's the most thing that makes me afraid or uncomfortable, I'm doing that first today. So that every day I'm less afraid to make the choices or say the things that are on my heart that need to be said, you know? And all fears are irrational. It's never, once you face it, you realize that it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I was 30 years old, still afraid of the dark, to keep it real.
Wow.
You know what I mean? To be in my house that I know nobody else is in there, but I gotta turn the light on.
You're like running, like
Yeah, you know, run up the steps, like you know what I mean? Until I was like, I'm gonna sit in the dark, and if it's a monster, what up though?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And of course there wasn't, but it helped me realize how foolish of a concept that was. But I think a lot of people are still afraid of the dark. I mean, look at the world we're in now. Everything has to be illuminated. You're not going down the street that's all blacked out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people should, you know, it sounds funny when you say it, but it comes from a truthful place.
Yeah. Myke, right? Afraid of the dark. Are you afraid of the dark? Rules in art are meant to be broken. What was the last rule that you broke in your art, and what did you learn from it?
When I was young, I loved to draw like naked women. And because my parents took me to a lot of museums when I was young, and I would see, you know, big paintings of like naked women, you know, laid out on beds and things like that, classical Renaissance era paintings. And I wanted to emulate that. So I would draw pictures of naked women and things like that, and I would get in trouble for it. And my parents would be like, you know, you can't do that. And I was like, well, they do it at the museum. Why can't I do it? And then I got in trouble for being a smart ass. So breaking that rule in myself to paint what I want to paint nude people or whatever, you know what I mean? Using colors I'm not supposed to use or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely been very liberating to do that, to kind of create without like worrying about like the criticism of other people. Making music freely, making whatever I feel like sounds good, mm-hmm. and not really caring about, like when I share things with people artistically and creatively, it's not for kudos or criticism. It's because I just feel like I really enjoy this. It would be cool if someone else did, but if not, I'm cool with that too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just the rules on sharing stuff. And is he leaving? What's up, Kayla? Are you taking off? Oh, okay. Bye, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I feel like every day people are like have these restrictions on themselves, whether it's on, okay, my videos need to be put out this way, like this is how people are viewing it. And it's hard. I mean, even myself trying to release a podcast every Friday, I'm like learning the stages of production, and like, okay, there's got to be a system to it. I've got to schedule 2 interviews a week so I can get ahead. And then like,
ahead of what?
I don't know. I mean,
see what I'm saying?
Just to have like,
don't nobody know about it but you.
Yeah, pretty much.
See what I'm saying? But it's that fear of criticism too. That's a real thing. And I've caught myself in that too. It's like, you know, I think I was afraid of being criticized. Like, I'm not going to post a picture to Instagram unless I look in this golden hour and all this other goofy shit. It's like, for what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you kind of just release that to, you know, like you said, with you're trying to stay ahead. Like, ahead of what? Who are you racing against?
Yeah, there's not another Sam J has questions. That would be wild if the other Sam J started the podcast like that. I'd be a little like, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my foot down on that one.
You know, there you go. But you're not in competition with anybody. So completely understanding that. I know we can say it right now, but to know that you're not in competition with there will never be another Sam J. There will never be another Myke Wright. Y'all couldn't handle two anyway, but there will never be another one. So enjoy the one that you got. You know what I mean? Enjoy your time. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
You know, respect yourself first and everybody else will follow.
I just finished reading Lucille Ball's autobiography, and just learning about Desi, Arnaz, in basically inventing the sitcom 3-camera system because of budget. Like, TV was a new medium. They sent this like camera guy to New York to learn about how to do this. He came back and he's like, I don't know if it's gonna, like, what you want is gonna work out. And they built bigger studios. They knocked walls over to make a bigger sound stage, and no one had an audience on a TV show before them. And they're like, no, we want an audience. We want this to feel live. And from there, they owned all the rights to it. They put up the money, and then cut to them buying the entire studio over and owning, having like 20 shows in production that shot at their studio. And I'm just thinking how incredibly successful that was for the time, the money they were making. But the one thing that her book really like stressed was her health, that she worked herself sick, and it's not worth it if you don't have that health. And me myself, like, I'm actually paid attention to my health in the last 2 months as far as like what I'm putting in my body, and I'm trying to get more sleep. But I'm like, fuck, maybe I'm not as productive as I want to be, but I'm definitely healthier.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, you're not going to be very productive when you're dead.
No, not at all.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to keep the whole system going.
But yeah, like, missing out on what schedule, like, who cared? I mean,
now to go back to the Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz thing, because I like reading a lot of success stories about people as well. And I think that the one thing they all have in common is that they did something that nobody else was doing. That's the one thing they all have in common. No matter what it is, they all broke away from everybody else. We're going to tear this wall down. We're going to bring some people in here. People are like, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah, they're like, what? Good luck.
That's the key. You know how many people probably told them not to do that?
Yeah, I imagine it.
And what are those people's names? Who knows? We don't know 'em.
I mean, they had the most ratings, like, in every, like, for like 4 years straight. Like, it was an incredible success.
Isn't
show.
that show's never been off the air, right? The show is, the I Love Lucy show is the only show that's never gone off television. So imagine that.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned do what other people aren't doing. Technology wise, the playing field is more even than it's ever been. So how the fuck do you do that now? Like, I ask people if they want to come on my podcast, and like, I really don't do podcasts. I mean, unless you're famous, and you know, who really listens, you know, like they're like, yeah, what's the point? Everyone's got a podcast. And I take in that thought, and I'm like, yeah, you know, that's kind of true. And then I go, well, fuck it. I mean, if I'm proud of this, then I'm proud of this. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, but Sam J ain't got a podcast. You know? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. How many people was like, oh, Lucille Ball, you about to do a TV show? Everybody got a TV show.
Yeah.
What's that one guy, the whistling, what's that guy that whistling the intro? The Andy Griffith show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't know if they coincided the same, both in black and white, so I
Yeah.
just put all that shit in the same thing. But, they're like, Andy Griffith got a TV show. Why do you want one? It's like, bitch, it's about to be better than that.
Yeah.
I could barely think of the name of that show, but I can think of I Love Lucy real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't matter. Like, other people's opinions, I think we're coming into an age as well, like, so many comments and opinions, we're going to realize that it really doesn't matter what other people think about what you're doing. There's so many people in the world. Like, we can just look out this window and see how many people are driving to or fro somewhere. Like, they're just, as far as the eye can see, there are people in cars right now going somewhere or coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So there's just people in the world. Everybody's doing something right now. So just do whatever you want.
Yeah. What does it matter?
I mean, it's going to matter. And not like, what does it matter on like in a nihilist type of way? Like, what does it matter? Doesn't it? Like, it does matter if you make it matter. So just do something that matters to you. And I'm sure when you do something that really matters to you, someone else is going to appreciate that. When you care about what you're putting out, it's going to resonate with people.
Yeah. I think that's a dangerous place to be when you're doing that work and busy work and you're like, man, this really doesn't matter. I don't really care about this, but I'm still doing it. That time to check in is really crucial and be like, can I not do this and be fine? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, listen to that voice. If you're doing something and you're like, I don't fucking feel like doing this shit, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. There's something better for you to be doing. And you probably know what it is, but you're probably too afraid to do that. Or you think that that's not you or something like that.
Yeah, or you're like, you're going to miss out on opportunities and whatnot. I was thinking about teaching and education and, you'll like celebrities will get asked like, oh, what does it, feel like to be a role model? And I can't think of specifics, but they're like, oh, I'm not a role model. I'm just a guy that, plays basketball, or I'm just a musician. But I think that's bullshit. I think that's not how life works. If you're ahead of anyone, people are going to look up to you in a way or watch what you do. And you like, what would you teach or want the next generation to understand? And then what do you think, vice versa, what do you think we could learn from like the next crop of people, younger people and coming up artists and,
I want my life to be inspiring to people when they look at it, for them to, when they see what I've done with my life and the time that I spent on earth, to energize whatever it is that they're doing. So not necessarily that they want to be me or dress like me or do the things that I did, but to see that human experience that I outwardly put out into the world, so that they'll want to be the best them. And I just want to show people that you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And you don't have to be apologetic about it. You just have to trust yourself, because I think that inside we all aren't bad. We want the same things. And I learned from people in the past to go for it. Like, a lot of the people that I look up to the most are people that just said, this is what the fuck I'm gonna do. Mm-hmm. Like Jean-Michel Basquiat, painter, was just like, I'm just gonna paint. I'll live on the street, but I'm gonna paint all day, mm-hmm. every day, and I'm just gonna keep painting. Walt Disney drawing animations, like, I'm just gonna draw animations. This is just what I want to do. Paramahansa Yogananda, I'm gonna be a monk. I don't care that my dad is this famous, he's got money, and I could go into business and do it. I want to do this, and I'm going to be self-realized. And I think that that's really all I want to stand for, is because I feel like that's a timeless thing. Whatever particular specific thing that I do in my life is very culturally based. Like, if I want to make films or I want to make products, the products are going to speak to the time. I can't really help that. I'm in this bubble of culture. But if a person 3,000 years from now looks back, I want them to be able to see me and say, okay, I'm going to be the best gas farmer on Jupiter or whatever the hell they're doing at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want to be that.
Yeah, I think the best version of whatever that is. And I always like driving people around and having conversations, because it's like a weird moment of attention where you're obviously paying attention to the road, but your thoughts maybe are going around a normal filter in a way, because you can just drive and you're kind of in a weird flow state. So needless to say, I was talking to my really good buddy I've known since kindergarten, and I was telling him about, I really want to write this show about my life and keep it as true to form as the events that happened. And I started explaining the show a little bit to him. And the realization that I had was, if I'm going to try and sell a TV show and be a television writer, I might as well sell my story with the understanding that if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, like, well, I gave them the story that I got of my life, like I gave them me. Mm-hmm. And if they pass on me. Okay. Like all in, so to speak. Like, this is what it is. Take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a power in that. Mm-hmm. And it reset, even with my stand-up. I'm like, I'm just going to do jokes about myself and my life. And now the jokes are kind of intertwining with the pilot, and it's just all me. So if shit doesn't happen, it's like, well, I gave fully, that was it. I can go to sleep at night knowing that I didn't hold back.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid to share something or to, have an experience that was truly mine.
And what we are already is way more than enough. More than enough. People are not used to hearing that. Mm-hmm. I can tell in your eyes, you're like, oh, wait a minute. More than enough already. Because you can't help but tell your story anyway. Because you're already saying the things that you think are funny, mm-hmm. which is based on your personality and the experiences that you've had. So we're already doing it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like there's a version of you that you think you are. And that's the one that's slowing everybody, that's slowing you down.
Yeah. How do I get rid of that version?
Don't try. Don't try to do anything. Just be. You know what I mean? Like, living is not, think about it like this. You didn't ask to be born, right? You just spontaneously, you're just alive. You're just like, oh, I'm just here already. Mm-hmm. You know how easy that was to just be alive already? That's how easy it is. Just be you. Just do the things that you want to do. Follow your desires, follow your passions. And if it's for you, you can't lose it. If it's not for you, you don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about beforehand, is people maybe not understanding how to be honest with themselves, and they feel that fear, or they feel the need to force, right? Because if you can't just be, then you're going to do what maybe your ego thinks it should do, or what everyone else is doing, and you're going to force stuff.
Because there's a lot of bullshit rhetoric going around that people are like, life is hard. You got to work hard. Blah, blah, blah. Hard for what? What's hard about breathing? What's hard about the sun coming up? I don't got to do nothing. Half this stuff is working on its own.
Yeah.
All I got to do is show up to the things that I want to show up for anyway. It's easy to show up for stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, very true.
Life is easier than we want it to be. And we don't want to believe that it's easy. You know what I mean? We see people with money and we're like, he must have worked super hard. Nope. Not everybody. Mm-hmm. Not everybody. Some people were born into it. Some people lucked up. And then when something great happens to somebody, then we call it things like luck and stuff like that. Oh, he's lucky. It can't just be that that's just what he attracted.
So this is an internal voice that is understanding how you see the world. Whether it's, like you said, looking at someone successful and go, God, they must have worked so hard. How did they do that? How do you challenge that voice that you have, which is essentially your entire understanding of the world? You know, there's a voice that narrates, oh, this is what's going on. This is why that person did that. This is, you know, this is why laws are made. You know, we assume all this stuff. And I had a great example this last week. Like even gender roles. We just assume that men are supposed to do this and women are supposed to do this. This is normal. How do you untrain that? How do you challenge that? And
who defines what normal is? That's the number one thing, is like realizing that these are definitions for words that you didn't create, you know? Personally, I've always known that the world was bullshit, even when I was a little kid. But I wasn't allowed to say bullshit as a little kid because I was a little kid, and it's not right for little kids to be like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Even though everything inside me was like, bullshit. So as I got older, I can say it now and people will laugh and be like, yeah, he's right.
He's right.
But I've always known it, and you've always known it too. But they're great at making you forget. They're great at making you forget. Everybody knows it. Everybody listening to this knows what I'm talking about. I don't know what the agenda is. I don't know who they are or whatever, but it could just, it's like, it's a system that we all kind of propagate and we all prop up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We all do it. You know, we all become agents of the matrix. You got to catch yourself and be like, let people cook. I saw a dude walking outside when I was pulling up. He didn't have no shoes on. His feet was bloody. Mm. And my first instinct was like, ugh, don't touch my car. But you know what? That dude is having a life. You know what I mean? And more power to him. I hope that not only does he get shoes, he gets the highest quality shoes that the world has to offer to him.
Yeah.
Because I ain't never been out here bloody with no shoes on. I got on great shoes right now.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So it's like we do have to unravel it's like we have to unravel the concept or the idea that the world wants us to be. There's a real Myke Wright, and then there's an idea of Myke Wright that the world wants me to be. And every day, every moment of every day, you got to make a choice. Which one are you going to be?
Who did you choose today?
I think it's obvious which one I've been. It took me a while to realize it. You already know what it is.
I just want to hear you say it.
Look, the other one is dead. He ain't even here no more. It ain't even an option no more. I'm never going back. I've seen the truth, and I can't go back. You know what I mean? There's no way I'm going back to doing things that I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Saying things and hanging around people I don't want to hang out with. The version that the world wanted me to be is, I can see it for what it is. It's insanity. I can see that now. But there are people who might feel like this true version of me is insane. Mm-hmm. But guess what? It don't matter what they think. It only matter what I think. And the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the people who do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some. I was thinking about internal validation versus external. So obviously, who you want to be versus what the world sees you as. The more that you're validated for that sort of choice, the more it makes sense to you. And I think when you make a choice that's counter to what everyone else wants you to do, you can maybe be consistent off of that choice and that energy for so long until you're like, man, it'd be real great to see some results from this choice. And I think I'm getting closer to the point where I'm self-sustaining my own whatever it is. You know, getting closer to be like, you know, the last podcast I was talking about, like a little person inside of you who's just like shoveling coal and you're like, you got this, man. You know, put that coal in there. You know, they're like, ooh, let's fucking close this thing, and you're going. I'm getting closer to sustaining that, but I attribute that to, you know, mental health and taking time for mindfulness or talking to a professional psychologist. But I mean, there's resources that you can use to help make that decision or to help keep you going. So to the people that are out there that are living this insanity of what you're, you know, what you assume people wanted you to do, and they're out there every day and they're not doing what they want, and they're maybe stuck somewhere, they don't feel creative, but they know that they can make a change or live a better life. What's the first thing that they should do to help counter all of that?
The first thing they should do is don't listen to me and don't listen to anybody. That's the whole point of this.
That's the whole point.
Don't listen to anybody. Don't come knocking on my door asking me what you should do. You already know what it is. That's half of the loop. Right, that's
half the loop.
Is look, you're seeking outside validation. What did Myke Wright said?
No. The word according to Myke Wright.
We don't need leaders. It's like people. We do need leaders, but we don't, because you'll constantly feed the idea that you need somebody to tell you that you're great. You know what I mean? You need degrees to tell you that you're smart. You need Nikes on to tell you that you can run fast. You need a zillion dollars in the bank to tell you that you're wealthy. You need the doctor to give you a good report so that you feel healthy. Mm-hmm. You know, but it's your body. It's your thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you think you can't do something, that's the real mental illness right there. If you think you're a loser, you're mentally ill. If you think you're mentally ill, then you're mentally ill.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that easy. It really is. But just hearing me say that is just half of it. You have to actually know what I'm talking about, have it click in your brain like, oh yeah, you're right. I have been saying a bunch of dumb stuff to myself in my head. Mm-hmm. If it was up to the people around me, I'd be working at JCPenney at Fairlane Mall in Detroit right now. Shout outs to Sam, you already know what's up. Shout outs to Fairlane Mall, JCPenney, Portrait Studios. Yeah. I realized I was like, this ain't me, and I quit on the spot. You know what I'm saying? If that's somebody's passion and that's their dream, then you do your thing. You know what I'm saying? But I know that wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back. There's not a day that I wake up and I regret, maybe I should still be taking pictures of people's babies. No. No, I'm not thinking about that place no more.
Yeah.
You know, and other people can do the same thing. Whatever situation you're in and you feel trapped or stuck, do what you want to do so that you don't even remember that place no more.
Yeah, there was so much fear in quitting my last job. I didn't know how to do it. Like, I was like, I didn't know what to say. I felt insane for not being happy in that situation. I felt crazy that no one else would consider that. Yeah. And I finally did it. And I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and he's like, "You're like a guy who wants to use his hands, but he's sitting on his hands, and he's complaining that he can't use his hands." And and then the next day I quit my job, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd do that." I didn't think you'd do it, but I did it, and it was a great decision. And the day that I quit, or my last day of work, I walked out of there, and it was just like, I'm never coming back here, you know, and not on any bad terms or anything, but just the thought of like, I'm free. I went and saw a movie. Like, it was a great time, and I woke up that next day, and I was like, all right. Yeah. Like, what's next? Like, now you have no excuse.
What's next? See, because once you get a taste of the real Sam, you're not going back to the 2%.
No.
You're not going back to Sam from Concentrate.
No. And I loved it. I mean, I got to experience so much stuff and read and I did a little bit of traveling, but not as much as I wish I did. And when I finally got another job, I go, man, I wonder if I should just like work for 6 months, save up, quit for 6 months, find another job. Like, I was like, I kind of like this. I really like this a lot. And of course, I'm talking to my family and they're like, you got to get insurance if something happens to you. And da, 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 da. And you can't do this. Like, what if this? And I realized there was no security anywhere I looked in my life. Didn't matter if it was with a job or not with a job. I realized there's nothing for sure.
Yeah, you got to build it.
So
you got to build it. And unpopular opinion, don't talk to your family. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I know that I've struggled with that because I love my family, you know, but there's this, they have an idea of you that they're going to be like the last people to kind of drop that idea that they're clinging to. Mm-hmm. You know, my parents wouldn't want me to move out of the house. If it was up to them, I'd still be there, probably in a diaper. You know what I mean? So they could, you're my baby. We were trying to do it. But it's like, I got to grow up. I got things I want to do. I got places I want to go. There's an entire world out here. As far as I can see.
Yeah.
And it's calling my name. You know? So sometimes you're right about that. And that's a level that you'll get to and you'll grow to. You know what I mean? That's the other part about it too, is like, be content with where you are, like be at ease where you are, plan for the future, use the past as a foundation. You know, a lot of people say it's not good to look back in the past. I think it's okay. I look back in my past often, but always as a way to show how far I've gone. Like, man, look how far you've gone. You know, it's like climbing a mountain and you kind of look down and be like, man, I'm making some headway in this, you know, I'm up pretty high. I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I use it as motivation. I don't look back, you know, and wish I was further down or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But just to look back and be like, okay, cool. But then I'm happy where I am. Man, this place is pretty dope. But then I'm always looking up and seeing there's more to go. If this spot right here is cool, I can only imagine when I get up higher up. Yeah. So just keep going.
I mean, so much of my enjoyment and when I feel the most content and happy with myself is the completion of work, is the completion of oh wow, we did it. You know, we finished editing and we're gonna put it out.
Yeah,
and that feeling has gotten a little bit further from farther apart, so to speak. So that's one thing for next year. I want to make sure I'm consistently like getting stuff done and enjoying that. So
yeah, always enjoy what you do. I mean, I think that is a great indicator of whether or not you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I really don't believe in like right and wrong in terms of like a heaven and hell kind of like duality type of thing, but just like, does it feel good to you? Does it feel right with you? Because that's your compass in terms of what it is how you're navigating through the world. Mm-hmm. You know when something don't feel right.
Yeah, it's tough to be honest with yourself.
I don't think it is. I think we're used to lying to ourselves. And that's really what it is. So that's going to make being honest with yourself hard because you're used to lying to yourself about stuff.
Well, when did you start being honest with yourself?
Probably there was a time where I felt like I was like, maybe I should just go with the flow of stuff. But maybe when I was like 19, 20, I kind of knew that I was different than other people for sure. I was like, I'm just not interested in the type of shit other people are interested in. And I don't know why. But I'm just not. And then when I turned 23, I for sure was like, I'm different and that's okay. And I'm going to do something big. And I don't know what. And I don't know how it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. but I feel it, and other people see it, and that's why other people react to me the way they react to me. And I've tried a lot of different things in life, things that I'm interested in, a lot of different passions, you know what I mean? And I navigate through the world in a lot of different arenas and genres and things like that. But one consistent thing is that how people react to me. That's the one consistent thing throughout all of it is who I am as a person. I think people sense something inside me that is genuine and helpful and inspiring. And, you know, I'm only here to help, because that's really where I come from is like, yeah, I'm having a good time, but by proxy, I'm benefiting myself and the people around me at the same time.
This is a question I'm going to steal from another interviewer that I like. Why should people care about Myke Wright?
Because I'm you and you're me. And you could not care about me, but that's not going to stop me from caring about Sam J. Because I see now that you want for you, like I want success for me the same way you want success for you. And I want you to be successful the way I want me to be successful. So I don't see the difference between me and other people anymore. I used to. And I used to be like, oh, that's me and that's them. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not like that anymore. I see past, I don't even know what to call it, like an illusion of separation.
Competition or something.
Competition, separation. You know, everybody gets a turn. Mm-hmm. Understanding that as well. You know, when you see people that are doing well, and then if you feel like you're not doing as well as them, then society would want us to be like, you know, fuck them and give them bad vibes and stuff like that. Like, everybody gets a turn. So they're up right now. Yay. Because when you're up, you don't want people fucking at you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to put that out now. And not even in a way of like, I know that may be sounded kind of contrived in a way like, well, let me be nice to people so that people will be nice to me. It's not even about that. Like,
that's the golden rule though.
It is, but then there can also be a satisfaction you get from just actually taking the time to pay attention to people. Mm-hmm. To really just be like, you know what? Because I've known you for a while, Sam. But once I really was like, let me just really fucking like talk to Sam. Like, I'm not thinking about where the fuck I gotta be.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about where I came from. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just really talking to Sam. And then you're just like, I like this. And then when people really do that with each other, that's when something really magical happens. And that's when you start to see like, man, Sam is not any different. It's like looking into a mirror.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So why should people care about Myke Wright? I'm not going to say that you should care about Myke Wright, but I'll say that you don't have a reason not to care about Myke Wright. And you don't have a reason not to care about anybody.
Myke Wright, you've answered all of my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're getting really great at this, bro. And you always ask really good, poignant questions. And,
well, the second time around, I can't, like, if you want to hear sort of how Myke got started, go listen to the last episode. I don't want to go through that. I wanted to build off of what we already talked about to make it. So
I love that. Always building for the future.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Then we got to say bye on this, but we're still in the same room together. So it's kind of that like, bye. And then we're still looking at each other like, okay.
And fake black.
Fake. All right, but for real though, bye. Bye, Sam.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah.